What's up, fight fans? Welcome to the UFC 223 post-fight show. My name is Flying Brian J. Thank you so very much for joining me. What we're going to do is talk about all of these fights, all 9 of them, that just happened in Brooklyn, New York. Today is April the 8th now because it is 12:44 in the AM, but the fight card happened on April the 7th. In the main event of the evening, Khabib the Eagle Nurmagomedov defeated Raging Al Iaquinta via 50-44, 50-43, and 50-43 unanimous decision. My first question to you guys as my co-host, Matthew Caldwell, is what post-fight rating would you give this card? My pre-fight rating was, well, way too fucking high. And I think your pre-fight rating was like a 3.8. You guys were closer to being right than I was. I don't know exactly what I expected coming into this night of fights. Other than I evidently had high expectations, but I do know that I'm leaving disappointed. I just tweeted the same thing. I don't know what I expected coming in, but I'm leaving disappointed. We learned nothing about the lightweight division, but now we have 3 champions. What? Yeah. We have 3 fucking lightweight champions. We have Khabib Nurmagomedov, who just got a belt wrapped around his waist. We have Conor McGregor, who I don't think he's been officially stripped yet. And Tony Ferguson, who has the interim lightweight championship belt. So, what? What? The fuck? I don't know. In the main event of the evening, Khabib basically did what Khabib does. Early on, he took Raging Al down. He flowed on him. He got him with some ground and pound. Raging Al did get up a couple of times, and we were like, oh. Al Iaquinta is getting up from these takedown attempts. And he fought out of some submission attempts with some good defensive jiu-jitsu. The first 2 rounds, that's how it went. 3rd round, Khabib decided that he was going to stand up and strike, basically, with Raging Al. Khabib attempted only a single takedown in the 3rd round, and then he decided that he was just going to basically jab Iaquinta, and Khabib outlanded Raging Al 34-4 in the 3rd round. And as Bozy Tozy said, Joe Rogan had, I don't know if he was biased or if he was just trying to create a narrative with the commentary, but he just kept talking about how, oh, it was so dangerous for Nurmagomedov to be standing and trading with Raging Al. It was almost like Joe Rogan was trying to sell us the fight as we had already paid to watch it, and we're literally watching it. That's how we could hear Joe Rogan trying to sell us the fight. And we could clearly see that Nurmagomedov, even though we all know that he is basically just a grappler, was defeating Al Iaquinta on the feet. It wasn't very technically sound. It didn't look like he had much of a focus or a plan with his striking, but Khabib was defeating Al in the striking department. Al was whiffing on right hands, and Khabib was peppering him with the jab the whole time. Okay, so Hamza Aman says that Conor truly is stripped of the title. Okay. Whatever. And Tony still has a belt. It's just, for me, in my eyes, the lightweight title picture might have even got muddied up even more because, I mean, we thought that Khabib was going to come in here and smash the shit out of Iaquinta. And then we'd be like, yep, he deserves the title. He's the fucking man. He would have beat Tony Ferguson. But now we come out of this fight card, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be speculating, oh, Tony Ferguson would have beat Nurmagomedov. And Joe Rogan even said it on the broadcast that Brendan Schaub texted him and said, Tony Ferguson beats Khabib. Like, oh, fucking great. We don't really need Brendan Schaub's opinion right now, Joe. But, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that say Tony would beat Khabib. There's going to be a lot of people that say Conor McGregor would beat Khabib. But what I saw tonight was a Russian Sambo practitioner having fun in a main event spot, 5-round fight, out there just, you know, having a good time. He was never in danger at all from Iaquinta on the feet. He obviously was not in danger of Iaquinta on the ground, and he just looked like he was in there having a good time. Post-fight interview came, and Joe Rogan was like, Khabib, you fucking beat him. You know, like, you get it. Commentators just go in there and they say something, and then they, like, give the mic to the fighter. They don't even ask him a question. It's like, Khabib, you did a good fight. And hands him the mic. Anyway, and Khabib just, like, took it and ran with it. He thanked everybody that he could fucking name. He knew their name. He thanked them all, including Allah, of course. He thanked Iaquinta for being a true New York gangster. He thanked... Yeah, it's just like he went on the long spiel. And then Joe Rogan was like, who do you want next? And what do you think about the lightweight title picture? And Khabib said, you know what? Give me a half-hour break. I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to call my dad. I'll come back in here and I'll beat Tony or I'll beat Conor McGregor. That was a nice part of it, but we got no clarity. Nothing was clear. I want Al Iaquinta to be booked against Paul Felder again, like we wanted to see tonight. Khabib, I would like to see him be booked against Tony Ferguson for a fifth fucking time. And if not, Conor McGregor should fight Nurmagomedov. Nurmagomedov also called out George St. Pierre. We didn't learn a lot. Sorry, guys. Let me get to the comments. Momo says that I don't know if you're a girl or a boy. Sorry, Momo. I don't know if you identify as anything. Momo says that they agree with me that Khabib was out there to make a clear point. Kenny Connor says Conor will sleep Khabib for sure if Khabib was that scared of Iaquinta's right hand. Matthew Caldwell, Al has better takedown defense than Conor. Conor doesn't stay on his feet all that much. Khabib doesn't stand and jab Conor. Don't be silly. See, that's what I was thinking while I'm watching it. And, like, I knew people right away would be like, oh, this paints a different story for Khabib. Oh, he looks very vulnerable against Iaquinta. Look, man, in Khabib's history, he only has 70% striking defense, 83% takedown defense. Where's his takedown accuracy? And his takedown accuracy is only 46%. And people are like, oh my gosh, oh my goodness gracious, Iaquinta got out of a single takedown attempt. Khabib isn't all that he's cracked up to be. Khabib's what's great about him is he'll miss a takedown, but he will just keep coming for that takedown. He's like, oh, you missed that takedown. I'm gonna get another takedown. I'm gonna try 6 more fucking takedowns, and it doesn't matter if I get only one of those 6. Once I get you to the ground, that's where you're gonna stay for the rest of this 5-minute round. So he only attempted 1 takedown in the 3rd round against Iaquinta. He obviously didn't care too much to get the fucking takedown if he only went for a single takedown in that round. 4th round, he was 0 for 2. Okay, 5th round, he was 2 for 4, 50%. So he was higher percentage-wise. He hit 50% of his takedowns in this fight, which was a higher percentage than he averages. So people are like, oh, he was so unsuccessful with the takedowns against Iaquinta. He was actually more successful with them than he has been on average in his UFC career. So Steve Castellan asks, how did Khabib win? With a jab on the feet, and when he decided to get the takedown, he'd get the takedown. He'd flow on Iaquinta. Iaquinta would give him his back, and Khabib he flattened Iaquinta out a couple of times, got him with some ground pound, tried to search for a rear naked choke, but Iaquinta was doing a good job of getting wrist control and taking it away so he couldn't get the forearm underneath the chin. Was his stand-up good? Asks Steve Castellan. Was it good? Was it pretty? No. Was it effective? Yes. He seemed to hurt Iaquinta a couple of times with a rear hand uppercut. He was bloodying Iaquinta's face up with the jab. Khabib landed 47% of his strikes. He landed 179 total strikes on Iaquinta. 159 of those were significant. So he only landed 20 ground strikes. Matthew Caldwell says he jabbed his way to a win on the feet. He got a few good combos and some knees, but mostly just jabs. It was mostly just jabs. A couple of rear hand uppercuts. A couple of front kicks to the face. Excuse me. They were the ugliest front kicks you've ever seen. I'm thinking of I think she's Japanese girl that fought Miesha Tate once. What was her name? She poses in like dominatrix outfits at weigh-ins. You know what I'm talking about? She had like the worst front kick ever against Leslie Smith. Nurmagomedov's front kick looked ugly as fuck. but it landed twice on Iaquinta's face. Wild times, my dudes. Absolutely wild times. So in short, what's next for Khabib Nurmagomedov? I don't know. Rebook him against Tony Ferguson like we were supposed to the first time. It was 50 to 43, Steve. 50 to 43. So there were two 10-8 rounds in there. I'm guessing round 1 because Iaquinta landed 1 strike. Khabib landed 43. Round 2, Khabib had 19 strikes to Iaquinta's 3. Third round, again, took place on the feet, entirely on the feet. Khabib landed 34 strikes. Iaquinta 4. Fifth round, Khabib 51, Iaquinta 9. And fifth round, 32 to 8. Yeah, it was pretty damn unanimous, my dudes. Let's get into... No, Steve. 5-round title fight. All right. Anybody else got some comments? I missed Love for Music for Life earlier. He told me who he was earlier. I'm sorry, I forgot, man. It was announced by Dana that Conor's belt would be stripped as soon as the first punch was thrown in the main event. I know it was, but like nobody reported on it after the fact. I did see that Barstool Sports showed Conor McGregor going to the event and sitting like in the nosebleed area, not in the front. So there was that. Let's get into our WTF of the card. We're going to give our post-fight bonuses. We're going to talk about some of the rest of these fights. But honestly, guys, I don't want to talk for too long tonight. I don't know. I'm just kind of tired. I don't have an excuse other than I am just kind of disappointed by this fight card, and I'm disappointed by the circumstances with we've been left with because of somebody like Conor McGregor. Scott Poppleton, right on. How do you fight a number 10 guy and become the champ, though? I don't want to explain this anymore. All right, I'll explain it, Steve. Where have you been, Steve, though? The fight was for the belt. It was Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. Tony Ferguson 6 days ago injured his knee tripping over a cord while wearing sunglasses inside. He had to pull out of the event. Max Holloway came in on 6 days short notice. He couldn't cut the weight in time to make the championship fight. So he was medically unfit to fight. He was pulled from it. Then we tried to have Anthony Pettis fight Khabib. Anthony Pettis missed weight by 0.2 pounds. They wanted to go through with that fight, Khabib versus Pettis, and Pettis is like, you know what? If you want me to fight Khabib, give me more money. Like, double my salary. And the UFC was like, how about we give you a little more than what you're going to make? And he's like, nope, I want double or nothing. And they're like, okay, you get nothing. And Raging Al was like, you know what? Fucking, I'll do it. And they're like, all right, Raging Al, get your ass in there. And he was like, done. Deal. Let's fucking do it. So that's how that happened. Belt was on the line for both guys. Even though Raging Al weighed in at 155.2. Didn't matter. He lost 50 to 43. That's the rundown. Let's talk about our WTF of the card. Matthew Caldwell was going to give a 49-46 Rose win a WTF of the card. It's not my WTF of the card. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna give out. I like to give out positive WTFs because I don't want to be negative Nancy all the time, which I tend to be on occasion. Where's my bookmark bar? Show bookmarks. Fucko. Talking to my browser. One of my WTFs of the card, this is my negative one. I'll go negative and then I'll go positive. Was Olivier Aubin-Mercier dispatched of Evan Dunham via TKO, knee to the body. It was also I believe a left hook to the body, to the liver first, and then a knee later on that Joe Rogan kept focusing on, and that's why on Wikipedia it says it was TKO, knee to the body. Post-fight interview, Joe was like, oh, it was that knee to the solar plexus. And Olivier Aubin-Mercier was like, oh, it was actually a punch to the liver first. But nonetheless, anyway, my WTF is Olivier Aubin-Mercier had a mustache, kind of. And he even mentioned in his post-fight that he's got a cool mustache. And there were a lot of media members that were saying, oh, he's got a pretty good mustache. No, what the fuck? It's a terrible goddamn mustache. It looks like he's got peach fuzz that he's letting grow out super long on top of his lip. It's terrible. Unless you can grow a Tom Selleck level mustache, do not call attention to the mustache on your face, especially if you're rocking a solo stash. If you have it in accompaniment to the rest of your facial hair, then like I have. I don't have great facial hair, but I'm allowed to keep the mustache because it's not the only thing that I have on my face. You see? And I'm not going to call, other than this, I'm not going to call attention to my upper lip. What the fuck, Olivier Aubin-Mercier? Your mustache sucks. That's one WTF. And as Matthew Caldwell says, my number 2 WTF of the card, and this is my positive one, is Kyle Bochniak has, somebody else tweeted it, I think it was Zane Simon for Bloody Elbow tweeted that Kyle Bochniak has Diego the Nightmare Sanchez level heart. He took a fucking beating from Zabit Magomedsharipov, and he kept sticking his tongue out and shaking it and coming forward and doing the Max Holloway thing where he pointed at the ground and said, meet me right here and let's fucking throw down. And he kept walking forward and he kept looking for that victory. Heart for days. What the fuck? You are an animal, Kyle Bochniak. What the fuck? That's my positive one. I'm super impressed by the heart on Kyle Bochniak. What are your guys' WTF? Poppleton says the pedo stash. It just, Olivier's stash is fucking terrible. Excuse me, I had to get a drink there. Now we can go into the co-main event of the evening. I guess we usually do use the WTF of the card to talk about the fight. So let's talk about the featherweight fight between Zabit Magomedsharipov versus Kyle Bochniak, and then we'll get into the co-main event of the evening. Thanks, Scott Poppleton, for keeping me on track here. So Zabit is very, very, very dynamic. He is 6'1", weighs 145 pounds, which there's another WTF of the card. How the fuck? That's the HTF. How the fuck does Zabit Magomedsharipov, as a 6'1" tall man, make 145 pounds? Also, he called out Yair El Pantera Rodriguez in his post-fight interview. I like that idea because Zabit has a similar flow. He's very dynamic. He's got spinning kicks. He's got high kicks. He's loose. He's obviously long. He's also got really good jiu-jitsu. How did the fight play out? He basically moved away from Bochniak, who was trying to come forward and get into the phone booth. Jimmy Smith, at one point in the broadcast, mentioned that, wow, that's a super old reference because there like really aren't phone booths anymore, Joe. He said to Joe Rogan. That's a good point. Anyway, so like Kyle Bochniak wanted to be close and fight, and Zabit wanted to be far away. Zabit got the better of that. He a couple of times was just kind of standing there, hands down, as Bochniak would come in, and then he would time a spinning back kick to the body to keep Bochniak at range, and then he would move away, and then be able to get his sniper-like long punches on Bochniak. I think a lesser-hearted opponent would have gotten finished or looked for a way out of the fight against Magomedsharipov if they were getting the beatdown put on them like Zabit did on Bochniak. Matthew Caldwell thinks that Joanna defeated Thug Rose 48-47 or 3-2. He says, fuck you to the judges. I, too, scored it 3-2 for Joanna. But I was really biased. And let me tell you guys why. If you have been listening to my shows for a while now, I have been tracking the underdog bets this year. So if you put 1 unit on every single underdog, how you would perform for bets on this entire year. So on the evening, if you would have put 1 unit on every underdog, you would have came out minus 2.45 units. That's not ideal. I needed Joanna to win to put us in a position to not lose so many units. And the fight was super close, so I was judging a little bit on Joanna's side because I needed the underdog bet to come through because I like that. It's a lot of fun. But in this fight, Thug Rose did a lot of good work with her lead left hook. In the first fight, Joanna got like she got finished basically by the lead left hook. She got dropped once by the overhand right counter from the like Joanna threw a jab, Thug Rose countered with an overhand right in the first fight that dropped Joanna. Joanna got back to her feet, and Thug Rose dropped her with a lead left hook and then some ground and pound. In this fight, Thug Rose hit Joanna with a whole bunch of lead left hooks, and she was bloodying Joanna's face up, and Joanna's nose looked kind of busted up. But I scored the middle 3 rounds for Joanna because, sure, Thug Rose was landing like the more significant strikes. It's true. Joanna was getting off a lot of leg kicks on Thug Rose, but like Joanna was never hurt in the middle 3 rounds. And Joanna outlanded Thug Rose in the second round, 27-20. The third round, 30-19. The fourth round, 38-22. Joanna actually outlanded Thug Rose every round, and overall she outlanded her 160-108. But in rounds 1 and 5, it seemed like Joanna was getting hurt by the shots that Thug Rose was throwing, and in the middle 3, it did not seem like she was getting hurt by them. In the 5th round, Thug Rose also got a takedown. But and definitely round 3, I gave to Joanna. I saw Zane Simon from Bloody Elbow said he gave it to Rose Namajunas because he saw it as a 50-50 round. He went to the champion. But it was a 50-50 round where Joanna Jędrzejczyk won the last half of the round, and she landed more strikes, and it looked at that point in the fight she was taking over momentum. I thought round 3 was clearly Joanna's, and round 4 was clearly Joanna's. So I say 3-2. If you're going to give the fight to Thug Rose, it was 3-2 for Thug Rose, but the judges gave it 4-1. And I gave it 3-2 for Joanna, again, giving her the middle 3 rounds. The most decisive rounds were 1 and 5, and they were clearly won by Thug Rose. So I understand her being and still and keeping the belt, even though I scored it for Joanna. Matthew Caldwell says, apparently leg kicks are nothing, or account for nothing unless you break the leg. Scott Poppleton says he thought Rose edged out on the scoring, but didn't understand the judges for giving her the 4-1. I don't know. Close fight. I don't care to see a third one because we've had 2 between the 2 fighters. Thug Rose won the first one in like 90 seconds. The second one, even though it was close, I'm fine with Thug Rose winning. If you score it without bias in my mind, if I scored it as who won a fight, not who won the scoring criteria, Thug Rose won the fight, right? She did the most damage. She fucked up Joanna's nose. She came out. She was landing the harder strikes. You know, if you were either one of these fighters, who would you choose to be at the end of the fight? I would have chose to be Rose Namajunas because she sustained less true damage and she inflicted more damage. So I know that's not the scoring criteria, and I'm not trying to justify anything. That's just my thought process. I'm completely fine with Thug Rose getting the victory. Let's talk about what our post-fight bonuses would be for this entire card. Again, there were only 9 fights. I'm going to look up what the official ones were. But before I tell you guys what the official post-fight bonuses are, you have to guess. The reason I paused there is Dana White is at the post-fight press conference right now, and he's talking. Normally I like to get this done before the post-fight press conference, but my wife is ill, or she's at least throwing up, and I had to take care of her for a minute before I could do the show. Matthew says, Habib and Rose, performance of the night based on results. What's your fight of the night then? Let me give you the real bonuses, and we'll go from there. Fight of the night was given to Zabit Magomedsharipov versus Kyle Bochniak. I like it. Performance bonuses went to Olivier Aubin-Mercier and Chris Gritzmacher. And that will lead us into a discussion on Chris Gritzmacher. we always give, or I always give, one extra bonus on the card because I'm not actually giving anybody any money. But, oh, that leads me to one more reason why this card kind of sucked. There were only 2 finishes on the whole card. And Olivier Aubin-Mercier's was like, took 53 seconds, and it seemed anticlimactic. And then his ugly-ass mustache was annoying me. And then Chris Gritzmacher defeated Joe Lauzon in a fight where Joe came out firing on all cylinders early. And it was kind of funny because I know I'm talking about Zane Simon a lot tonight. I don't mean to harp on him. I like the guy. But it's just funny. At the very beginning of Joe Lauzon versus Chris Gritzmacher, he tweeted that it looked like Joe Lauzon was on another level. Chris Gritzmacher was not on Joe Lauzon's level in the striking department. Shortly thereafter, Joe Lauzon faded. Joe Lauzon always fades really hard. He's not. In the past few years, Joe Lauzon hasn't done well after the first round. But anyway, Gritzmacher took over. He was doing a good job ripping to the body, making Joe Lauzon fade even quicker, and then coming upstairs with a lot of good hooks. And he was just battering Joe Lauzon. And at the end of the second round, Joe Lauzon's corner, they didn't throw in the towel, but they called the fight over with. I saw some people that were saying that they wanted, why the fuck would the corner do that? Let Joe Lauzon go back out there and try to finish the fight in the third round. He didn't look like he had anything left in the tank. He was fine with his corner and calling the fight at the end of the second round. And also, we've seen in the past that Joe Lauzon, like, doesn't get knocked out cold, and Gritzmacher didn't seem to have the pure power to knock Joe Lauzon out cold. Gritzmacher was even coming over the top with a lot of elbows on Joe Lauzon's face, and Joe, like, didn't lose consciousness. He would just, like his ability to retaliate just kept dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. If you recall the fight with Raging Al Iaquinta, Joe Lauzon didn't go out, but he was just getting fucking battered, and he would go from like one side of the cage to the other side of the cage until finally the referee decided to mercifully stop the fight. Joe Lauzon can take a fucking beating without his body rendering himself unconscious, you know? So this was a good call by his corner. I mean, they could have even thrown in the towel midway through round 2 because he really had nothing for Gritzmacher. And do you even know who Chris Gritzmacher is? We might after this, but he's a guy who's never gonna wow you with his technique, with his physique, with his personality, anything like that. He's not a real memorable guy, and I apologize for. I don't mean to bash him. It's just that's just the way I feel. I think that he's not that memorable. A casual fan isn't gonna remember Chris Gritzmacher, and he was laying the fucking wood on Joe Lauzon. Joe Lauzon's a legend, and when that starts happening, you know, pull the plug on it. I'm glad that we didn't keep Joe Lauzon in there any further so he could sustain more head trauma. I like the corner stoppage. It could have happened earlier, but I'm glad that it happened, period. The referee was going to allow him to trot out there for a third round, and the corner stopped it. Yeah. Are there any other fights that we should talk about? The first fight of the night, Devin Clark, like, wall-installed Mike Rodriguez, kinda. Second fight of the night, I didn't really watch it. Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Felice Herrig. Karolina defeated Felice in all facets of the game. All of them. On the feet, Felice Herrig's corner said that she was beating Karolina in the boxing, so they wanted her to box instead of wrestle. No. Karolina was winning the striking, and specifically winning the... Why was that a split decision? Karolina Kowalkiewicz defeated Felice Herrig via split decision. Wild times. Karolina even, like, pulled guard once to... it was wild. She went for a triangle off her back, didn't work, but then she reversed position, got on top, looking for submissions. Karolina showed a wide variety of skills in this fight against Felice Herrig. I was especially surprised to see her be able to defeat Karolina. I was especially surprised to see Karolina Kowalkiewicz defeat Felice Herrig in the grappling exchanges and just dominate the hell out of her. That was very interesting. I think the only other fight that we really haven't touched on is Renato Moicano versus Calvin Kattar. Renato moved backward the whole time. Kattar looked for the right hand, couldn't find it. Renato was finding his right hand on occasion. Renato battered Calvin Kattar's lead leg, both of them. You know, for a while he was doing his Kattar's left leg, the inside low kick, outside low kick was really battering him there. Which was dwindling Kattar's ability to throw the right hand with power. Kattar would switch stance, and Moicano would fucking attack that leg. Whatever leg was in front, he just battered the fuck out of it. And on his way to a unanimous decision victory, 29-28, 30-27, 30-27. It was clear. I saw some people being upset that the crowd booed that fight. I didn't like the fight. I don't like Renato Moicano's fighting style. It's very effective, but it's boring. He moves backward. He'll inside low kick you. He'll jab you. He'll move backward. He'll inside low kick you. He'll jab you. That's pretty much it. And he had Calvin Kattar hurt a couple times when he would come with a 1-2. But then he would just continue on the game plan. He's like, I'm doing the game plan still. I'm doing my thing, bro. Like Calvin Kattar's like, I could be knocked out any moment. And he's like, nope, I'm doing the fucking game plan. I'm exaggerating. I am. But you get the point, right, Matthew? Beck Rawlings, she's not going to be employed by the UFC anymore. She's on a 4-fight losing streak. It's amazing that she got the 4th. She defeated Lisa Ellis and Sohee Ham in her UFC career. But she is 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, she's gone. Beck Rawlings is gone. She doesn't have a great personality. She has a terrible record, and I don't think we're going to see her anymore. Okay, last thing. Brett Okamoto just tweeted from ESPN. Conor McGregor is no longer the UFC champion. That is official. He had a lot of hyperbole after that. Dana White says, after talking to Conor McGregor yesterday, I think there's a mutual respect between us. And Brett Okamoto says at the post-fight press conference, Dana White is speaking of Conor McGregor, and he thinks that the relationship has been a lot better. And it's quite a contrast from what Dana White was saying like yesterday. That's the show, I guess. So we didn't talk for a long time. There wasn't a lot to talk about. There wasn't a lot to be excited about. But I appreciate you guys for being here. Matthew was the, strong co-host here. Scott Poppleton, appreciate you, my dude. Steve Castellon, I appreciate you for being here, my dude. Who else am I forgetting? Excuse me, Kenny Connors, Momo, Hamza Aman, Bozy Tozy. All of you guys, I appreciate you. I'm going to go drink some more water and get some rest. I have Easter tomorrow. I know Easter was last week. There was a snowstorm here, so we couldn't have a family Easter because it was just, the roads were terrible. Tomorrow, hopefully the roads are better. I'm going to go have an Easter dinner with my family. And that's pretty much it. Thanks again for joining, guys. Please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And I'll see you next week where we will be talking about a barn burner of a fight, which is Justin Gaethje versus Dustin the Diamond Poirier in the main event. Co-main event is Carlos Condit versus Alex Cowboy Oliveira. I believe that is next week. Yes, the 14th. So I'll see you guys then. Thanks again. Namaste. Have a good evening, guys. Namaste. Double namaste. Whoo! Good.